Hi, I'm Jennifer Bardot, and I'm excited to have you at the Grit Talk Show today. My guest is Debi Corrie. She's a contributing author in Int'l, which is the fourth anthology within the Deconstructing Grit collection. And I'm thrilled to have her because she's not only a friend, but she's an incredible leader in our community. And before we get started, I'm going to share a little bit about Debi's bio. So she is the founder and CEO of Acumaxum. She's a CFO strategic company that helps other organizations with their finances and their
we help them grow.
And we help them grow. She's also an international best-selling author several times. She's a public speaker, and she's an incredible panelist, which I saw yesterday on our Grit Community Finance panel. She's also been awarded Top 100 in the St. Louis community. She's a board member of the Women's Safe House and the St. Louis Women's Forum here in St. Louis. Debi has also been showcased on NBC, CBS, Fox, The Herald, and MarketWatch. So I'm incredibly excited to have you here today, Debi. So can you share a little bit more outside of your bio, who Debi is?
Yeah, so I'm just an everyday person that got some grit and some tenacity and decided to go out and start my own business. And if you had ever asked me if I would ever go out and start my own business, I would have laughed at you and said, no, I'm not doing that. I am risk adverse. I'll be a W-2 employee for the rest of my life and retire at 65. And that's not my life anymore, and my life is great.
That's exciting. And I love that you owned your grit and became your own CEO and no longer a W-2. So tell me a little bit more about, a time that you've had to have grit as a business owner.
Well, in 2015, I realized that I changed jobs every 2 to 3 years. So if you can see it on my LinkedIn profile, I invite you to go look at it. So I would change, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And my husband would be like, he said to me, he goes, you get things all fixed up and then you leave. And this light bulb went off in my head. And I realized what I loved about the companies I went to was helping them solve problems, implement strategy. And then they would want me to sit back and do the everyday work. I wasn't the everyday work person. That should have been somebody else. And so I found this opportunity in 2016 to become a sole practitioner at a partnership called B2B CFO. And was really excited about it, came home and talked to my husband about it, and he said, absolutely not. And you might be thinking, well, why not? Well, you were basically going to start and run your own business. They had a system for it. They had training for it. There was an investment. Well, I was the main breadwinner in our house, and my husband, who's very risk adverse, was like, no, you can't go do that. I sat down, figured out all our numbers, and I went and did it anyways. It was the first time in our marriage of all these years that I just went and said, no, I'm going to do my own thing. So they told you could get your first client in 6 months. My first client didn't come for 10 months.
Wow.
I had done my budget for the first 6 months.
Yep, right.
What we can do and how that's going to work. And so we had coaches, and I did everything wrong, and I share that with people all the time because there's hope. I networked wrong. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was trying to sell to people. And what I learned along my journey was life is about the relationships you make, business, personal, and those relationships, and taking time to value those relationships and let them grow is what initially set me off, because I told you I didn't start for 10 months. But I had built those relationships in that 10 months so deep. I mean, I was out every day talking to people, connecting with people, seeing how I could help them first. Were there network groups I knew? Who are the connections I made that might be useful for them? Who are the people I had in my network that could maybe help them solve a problem? Because I approached it that way, after that first client in 10 months, it was boom, 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 because I had done all the groundwork and the hard work.
That's incredible. And I love that story because you have been able to recognize that you weren't doing everything right, but you kept going and you kept fighting through. Mm-hmm. And even when you hit limits, you continue to push through, even your own husband.
Yes.
So what would you recommend? Because I know pushing through a fear is really big for you. So someone that's new in an entrepreneurial or taking on a new lead or a new challenge, what are some advice that you would give them in regards to pushing through that fear?
Yeah, so I'm in accounting. Accountants like facts, accountants like numbers, right? They want to know everything that's going to happen. You have to have the faith just to walk over that fear line. You can't wait for the right time or the right opportunity. And that's what my husband said to me, and that really hit home, because at the time I was 52 or 53 when all this journey started. And I thought, when is going to be the right time? If I don't do it now, I knew I was never going to do it. It was really interesting. I had read or had seen a story on CBS, and they were talking about people that had reached their late 80s and 90s and their birthdays. And they said, what was the number one regret they had? And it was this decisions they chose not to make out of fear. Wow. So those opportunities that they had passed by. And I thought, I don't want to live like that.
Yeah, so it really sounds like you're one that decided not to live within regret and just take the bull by the horns, as they say, and just run with it.
And that doesn't mean it wasn't scary. And that doesn't mean I didn't screw up and make mistakes and things worked and things didn't work. Success, when you hear of overnight success for business owners, that is a fairy tale. That doesn't happen. You don't see all the long, hard work they did before that success happened.
Absolutely. And being awarded Top Titan 100, that is a perfect predictor of all the hard work that you'd put in over the years. So what are some of the disciplines that you've utilized and able to become that leader? I heard you talk about networking and valuing relationships. What are some other components that you've utilized to really help your leadership style grow?
I have a vision board, and I got to tell you what I heard about vision boards. I thought it was a bunch of woo-woo, okay? I'm like, vision board, you're going to put your goals on a vision board? Come on. And one of my friends challenged me to do it. So I was driving a Ford Fusion. They're great cars, but I really wanted a luxury vehicle. And so I read through what you were supposed to do, and it wasn't just about putting pictures on the board. Pictures on the board aren't going to work. It's about visualizing yourself there, doing the research and setting the goals and doing the hard work. And so what I found out that vision board did was when I was tired and, I felt like just goofing off, I would look up at that picture and decide, how bad do I really want my Cadillac XT5, right? I can do another 15 minutes. What is it going to take to get this done? And I got to tell you, my goal was to get that Cadillac at the end of April. I had to add 6 clients. And I went and test drove them in January. I was looking at prices on them. And I had my Cadillac. It was funny because I went to the dealership. I test drove a bunch of different cars. And I told the guy, I said, I'll be back in April to buy the car. And the sales guy looks at me and goes, okay, Mrs. Corrie. I said, no, I have a goal. I said, I'll be back. So I called him that night, the day I sold my 6th client. I called my husband and I said, he goes, you're going to pick up your car, aren't you? I said, yes, I am.
Oh, I love that.
And so I called him and he's like, okay, I'll be down at the dealership. We'll make that happen.
That's incredible. So when you're describing that story, it really reminds me of intention. You're very intentional about that journey of what you were trying to achieve. You had your vision board, you test drove it, you went to the dealership, had the conversation, mapped out everything you wanted, and it came to fruition.
Right.
So in regards to the aspects of grit, growth, resilience, intention, tenacity, which word really resonates with you and why?
I think grit does. Angela Duckworth does this amazing talk about grit. And what they found in her studies is it's not the A+ students and it's not the scholars that win. It's the average person. The one that does the C's, the one that plods along, the one that does the work. That's what grit is. And grit doesn't have to be this fast journey. Grit can be small changes that you make along the way to get where you want to go. Research shows that big changes all at once are unsustainable most times, right? Very unusual situations where you can do that. But if you make small changes in what it is you're doing and form habits from those small changes, that's the grit and tenacity you need to make things happen.
I am in a perfect alignment with everything you just said. And I think that's why it's really important that you as a leader, show that you've had grit on your journey to help inspire others to have hope. I heard within your stories, intentionality, your tenaciousness about just taking it and going, and then being very growth-minded in regards to putting yourself in situations where you can grow. So that's incredible to hear all of those aspects within your leadership journey. So when you were talking about goal setting, what are some of the goals that you have on the horizons that you're looking to strive and hit now?
Well, some of our goals are, how many clients do we want to serve? And for me, serving more business owners isn't all about the money. It's actually about what can we do in our community. So one of the ways I feel I contribute to our community is by helping business owners achieve their dreams. they give back to their communities. Most business owners are great people. They got started in business because they had goals and things they wanted to do. And when they're successful, they give back to their communities. It could be their churches, nonprofit organizations. Just think of the payrolls they provide to employees and the lifestyle that they give to people in your communities. There's all kinds of ways they contribute. And I think that's so important. Small businesses are still 54% of what makes up the makeup of the United States. They're pretty important in the cycle. And so if we can serve those business owners and help those dreams come true, we're just impacting so many lives besides theirs.
Yeah, and I love that servant mindset, because not only are you doing the work, but you're coming from a place of value and making sure you're making an impact in the community for a larger worth. So where can people find you?
So our website is www.acumaxum. It's ACUMAXUM.com. Totally made up. So, and I Googled it. As far as I know, it's not a drug or anything else. People laugh when I say that, but I'm like, no, I'm going to get that copyrighted because it's mine, right?
Right.
So they can find us there. We're on Insta. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. So all the channels there. And you can call us, 314-476-4200. We've got an info site that you can go to. Our books are available on the website also.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about the mastermind you just kicked off.
So we're getting ready to kick off some masterminds for CFOs of companies to help them with that strategy piece. What we find is a lot of times great controllers get moved up into that CFO role, and there's a gap in learning, like what's the difference between doing those transactions and how do they provide better value. So helping them figure out how to delegate some of the duties that they used to do, and then how to help owners implement that vision, because our company is unusual. Our goal is to actually help companies grow and hire their own CFOs. So our lifetime value of a client is 3 to 5 years, because if we've done our job, we've helped them grow big enough where they've got to hire a full-time CFO for the company.
And it goes to alignment to the very first story about how you like to fix a solution, then move on to the next journey.
It does.
So that's incredible.
Yeah.
So if there's one last piece of advice you could give somebody to step in and own their truth and have more grit, what would it be?
Don't let fear get in the way of your dreams. If you really want it, it's worth the risk. I wrote an acronym a long time ago, and it's a new way to look at failure. And failure is just future accomplishments, and they include lots of unexplored roads. So all you've got to do is go explore those roads, because it helps you make the next decision. If that decision didn't work, great. Now you know it didn't work. Move on to the next thing and try something else.
That's beautiful. And I think that's really important, because in life there's always going to be different pivot points, and you talked about your journey alone. So that's really great advice. So thank you so much for being here today, Debi. It's been a pleasure, and I'm grateful to have you as a friend and a contributing author in Intention.
Well, it has been a pleasure to get to know you over the years, Jen, and I love our friendship, and I've followed your own journey, and it's been so amazing how many lives you impacted. You've had a great impact in our community.
Thank you. I appreciate that.